Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you again on the second and last session of our meeting, today of the meeting, the Vienna Economic Forum. Now the word is to the visionaries. And I will start by giving the floor to Mrs. Vassilev, who is Deputy Minister for Innovation and Growth of Bulgaria. Please.
Уважаеми посланник Брикс, уважаема госпожо посланник Кирчева, Ваши превъзходителства, дами и господа посланници, уважаеми членове на Виенския икономически форум, дами и господа, за мен е изключителна чест и привилегия да поздравя толкова много визионери в тази зала, които истински разбират и съзнават ролята на иновациите, на технологиите и на образованието за регионален икономически и технологичен растеж и не на последно място осъзнават, че в основата на такъв растеж стои сътрудничеството. След като дадохме легална дефиниция на понятието иновация, това се превърна в философски въпрос. Иновацията, истинската иновация, не е само вдъхновяваща визия и новаторска идея. Тя изисква да работиш и да действаш според тази своя визия. Изисква да наложиш иновацията в своята област и да трансформираш по този начин цялото общество. Истинските иновации се случват само тогава, когато има партньорство, диалог, сътрудничество между всички заинтересувани страни. Дали е възможен растеж, било то икономически или технологичен, без иновации? Отговорът на този въпрос към днешна дата Успешният модел за иновация е уникален. Той не може да бъде приложен по копи-пейст начин, но съм убедена, че обменът на знания има капацитета да даде тласък както на българската, така и на иновационната екосистема във всяка една държава, която е член на Виенския икономически форум, и това да има същия положителен трансформиращ ефект върху цялото общество. Има ли рецепта за постигането на растеж чрез иновации? Вероятно има, но ние смятаме, че трябва да фокусираме усилията си върху няколко основни стъпки, които, изпълнявайки, със сигурност ще постигнем икономически и технологичен растеж. И то чрез иновации и чрез технологии. На първо място да инвестираме в образование и в развитие на работната сила, да инвестираме в човешкия капитал, за да осигурим квалифицирана работна ръка, което е особено привлекателно за всеки един инвеститор. На второ място да се фокусираме върху развитието на инфраструктура, която подкрепя иновациите и технологичните сектори. Да създадем центрове за научно-изследователска и развойна дейност, технологични паркове, високотехнологични зони. На трето място да опростим и да рационализираме регулаторните процедури, за да можем да улесним всички инвеститори, както локални, местни, така и чуждестранни, при стартирането и при управлението на бизнеса им. И също така да участваме активно във всякакви международни форуми, конференции и бизнес събития, за да покажем какъв е иновационният потенциал на всяка една от нашите страни и да привлечем вниманието на нови инвеститори. Как се справя Министерство на иновациите и растежа с тази условно наречена рецепта? Нашата визия на Министерство на иновациите и растежа е, че ние имаме като основа силната подкрепа в областта на развитието на иновациите и технологиите, развитието на човешкия талант и спазваме строен екосистемен подход. Основен приоритет за България, според нас, е тя да се превърне в лидер в инициативата за превръщане на Югоизточна Европа в иновационен център, в иновационен хаб. Ние вярваме, че чрез създаването на синергии и възможности на регионално ниво ще можем да привлечем таланти, ще можем да насърчим партньорствата, ще можем да изградим заедно интелигентна специализация и технологичен капацитет и по този начин ще позиционираме Югоизточна Европа като център за технологични иновации. На следващо място използваме модела на отворените иновации, тъй като считаме, че той е изключително подходяща платформа за развитие на тази наша визия. Също така работим и ще продължим да работим за сключването на споразумения за партньорства с всички заинтересувани страни, включително и членове на Виенския икономически форум. Насърчаването на по-тясно взаимодействие между България и страните в областта на дълбоките технологични иновации, комерциализацията на научната работа, трансфера на знания и технологии ще бъдат от решаващо значение за стимулиране на растежа и позиционирането на региона ни като важен участник в новата вълна на дълбоките технологични иновации. Визията ни също така включва и създаване на по-благоприятна среда за всички стартиращи предприятия. Разпознаваме като наша цел и това да инвестираме в научно-изследователска и развойна дейност, да насърчаваме сътрудничеството между бизнеса, научните среди и правителството. Това сътрудничество трябва да се основава на тематични области на интелигентната специализация и тенденции като изкуствен интелект, ИКТ, мехатроника и микроелектроника, индустрии за здравословен живот, биоикономика, биотехнологии, индустрии за креативни и рекреативни индустрии, чисти технологии, кръгова икономика, нисковъглеродна икономика. Всички тези видове индустрии ние разпознаваме като водещи както за България, така и за региона. На следващо място считаме, че концепцията за регионални иновационни долини, която е идентифицирана и в новата Европейска програма за иновации, също насърчава комерциализацията на науката в бизнеса и укрепва академичния потенциал в различните държави и в Европа като цяло. Тази визия за създаване на мрежа от иновационни долини не само ще повиши конкурентоспособността на държавите, но и ще ускори иновациите и конкурентоспособността на Европа. Иновационните долини във Варна и в Пловдив набират скорост. Предстои създаването на водородна долина и в Стара Загора, около която също ще възникне екосистема за развитие на иновации и зелен преход. Ако обединим иновационните долини в хаб, заедно с други съседни държави и успеем да създадем възможности за сътрудничество в нови сектори, в дълбоки технологии в региона, ние ще повишим конкурентоспособността не само на Югоизточна Европа в областта на новите технологии, но и ще създадем нови центрове за експериментиране, за обучение и развиване на таланти. Наред с поделеното до тук, ние работим и наш приоритет е привличането на инвеститори, които за региона с цел на постигане на икономически растеж и увеличаване на добавената стойност, която е генерирана в брутния вътрешен продукт на България, но такива, които да носят висока добавена стойност, производства с висока добавена стойност. Основната роля на регионалното и глобално представяне на страната ни като добро място за инвестиции в иновации и в технологии, като една развита предприемаческа и стартап екосистема на ключови пазари, се пада на Българската агенция за инвестиции. Участието в значими локални и световни събития, каквото е и днешното събитие, също считаме, че са от изключителна важност. Министерство на иновациите и растежа участва във всички значими инициативи, които са свързани с бъдещето, с иновациите, с технологиите, защото ние вярваме, че инвестициите в образование и в иновации са най-добрия вид инвестиции. Ние чрез тях можем да направим и да постигнем истинска положителна промяна в целия свят. Ще посоча няколко много малко примери. Министерство на иновациите и растежа учреди Национален иновационен борд с участието на Института по компютърни науки, изкуствен интелект и технологии Insight, който е създаден с основната цел да утвърди България като водеща дестинация за научни изследвания и иновации, която да служи като отправна точка за най-талантливите. Ние разпознаваме микроелектрониката като стратегически актив за индустриалните вериги за създаване на стойност и за това участваме в Европейската експертна група по полупроводници, която позволява обмен с фокус върху споделянето на ценен опит и ноу-хау. Министерство на иновациите и растежа участва като партньор и в ключовия проект Future for Prima, който е насочен към подобряване на сътрудничеството между учени и иноватори в Средиземноморския регион в областта на устойчивото управление на ресурсите и развитието на селското стопанство. Министерство на иновациите и растежа подписа документ за сътрудничество с водещия Център за научни изследвания и иновации IMEC, като сътрудничеството между двете страни е в областта на научните изследвания и иновациите в областта на микроелектрониката, по-специално проектиране, технологии и прилагане на интегрални схеми. Като стратегически ход България се присъедини и към съвместното предприятие интегрални схеми, което ще финансира мерки по Европейския закон за интегралните схеми. В заключение бих искала да отправя посланието на Министерство на иновациите и растежа към всички вас и към този прекрасен форум, който ни е събрал. Ние дълбоко вярваме, че иновациите са бъдещето и че това са иновациите са тези, които променят света. Те също така безспорно правят живота ни както по-лесен, така и по-добър и много по-вълнуващ. Но те са начин на мислене и начин на живот. Те ни обединяват и могат да доведат до много значим напредък за човечеството. Но всички стъпки се изисква да бъдат направени от нас. И затова нашия призив е от егоцентризъм към екосистема, от конкуренция към сътрудничество. Ние живеем в ерата на партньорствата и днешният ден е прекрасен пример за това. Пожелавам успех на Виенския икономически форум в София, както и много сбъднати партньорства. Благодаря.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Mincheva. And now, our special guest, His Excellency Albin Kurti, Prime Minister of Kosovo, and also one of the patrons of the Vienna Economic Forum. Please, Mr. Prime Minister.
Dear Ambassador Kircheva, dear ministers and deputy ministers, dear business representatives, ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure to be here with you today in Sofia. It is a particular pleasure since in this country of origin of the esteemed chair of the Vienna Economic Forum, Ms. Elena Kircheva, and it is my very first time in this impressive country as Prime Minister of the Republic of Kosovo. I cannot be here today in the beautiful city of Sofia without speaking of our gratitude towards Bulgaria, its government and people. Bulgaria recognized independence of Kosovo early on. This year we are going to celebrate 15 years of establishment of our bilateral diplomatic relations. But earlier on than this, 25 years ago, it were the Bulgarian authorities who first discovered the military plan of the genocidal regime of Milosevic, namely the Operation Horseshoe, which in spring 1999 was expelling Albanians from our country. And it took liberation struggle, it took NATO intervention to save the people, so we rebuild our homes, and today we become a prosperous democratic country looking towards Western values and cooperation. Now, 25 years later, as free people, we can hold conferences and our governments can meet and exchange on issues of economy, education, energy, culture, and tourism. On this occasion, I would like also to thank the Bulgarian delegation to the Council of Europe for their positive role for Kosovo's accession to this prestigious organization. My country and Bulgaria share the same conviction of democracy, rule of law, human rights and prosperity, while being committed to the standards of the European Union and the alliance of NATO. Ladies and gentlemen, today I've been invited to discuss the role of innovation, technology and education in regional cooperation under the motto of this WEF forum, continuing to build bridges during difficult times. Indeed, times could be easier. Thus, I'm convinced we need to understand the importance that cooperation, those bridges, have for our region. My impulse statement here should serve as a call for more solidarity among us as a region. We have to communicate and cooperate more. We can do more, we can do better. As a government, we are aware of the challenges posed by the two big global crises in the last 4 years, namely the COVID-19 pandemic and the Russian war of aggression against Ukraine. Now, unfortunately, wars in the Middle East have reoccurred, while Russia is not backing down. But then I find this particularly important to remember today that we also, on 22nd of April, we celebrate Earth Day, the day of our planet. And we have an ongoing crisis which we need to target as well, climate change, with ever more occurrence of floods, droughts, and wildfires, as we can see across the world, but especially in our region. Those crises not only have thrust the global economy into recession, but instilled fear about the future among our citizens. At the same time, we are seeing a disruption in the technology sector, with the most recent developments in the artificial intelligence. With the applications of AI, we are starting to witness core transformations in many industries, opening new pathways to growth, but which again, with the perception of many citizens, also harbors dangers. And yes, we need to worry when democracy is being threatened, as autocrats are using social media and technology as a strategic weapon to destroy it. Cyber attacks and hybrid wars have become an imminent security threat to most of our governments. We have to fully embrace technological progress, but at the same time to make sure that that does not go at the expense of our cherished values. But this is when our resilience and perseverance come to the forefront, and we continue and need to continue building bridges throughout our region and within our societies. So if there are certain difficulties, we should not start and think that we might have to change the course or rethink about our path, or perhaps stop for a while. So continuing to build economic bridges means that in spite of hardship, we shall continue. So one thing that we should not question is continuing. Bridge has no alternative. We must continue to build these bridges in spite of all sorts of hardships and challenges that we face nowadays. Otherwise, we risk losing people to extreme positions. If we do not build bridges, then we weaken the middle class, and we risk losing people to extreme positions, risking our social cohesion due to the aggravation of the perceived and prevailing social inequalities. So, coupled with climate change and security threats, with our development, which shall be inclusive, we have to address social inequalities. This is the way how we do not lose people to extreme positions. And now, in these disruptive times, proper education seems to be the key. What kind of education in 21st century for young generations, I think, is crucial as a vision for us as representatives, political leaders, and business people. Our vision for Kosovo is pretty clear, I could say. We aim to be a beacon of progress and a hub of technological excellence in Southeast Europe. We are nurturing a young generation who is not only tech-savvy, but also deeply aware of their role in the global marketplace and regional community. With visa liberalization, they are exploring Western Europe, making connections and creating better understanding of Europe and the region. And two communities are at the forefront: business people and students, academia and economy. These are the two sectors which have been benefiting most from visa liberalization and from their communication and cooperation with the European Union. I would like to use this opportunity to mention Kosovo's great developments in the technological and educational sector. The Innovation and Training Park in Prizren, a collaboration between the Kosovar and German governments, spans 39 hectares and houses 52 buildings, 45 companies, and a university. Meanwhile, the newly inaugurated Tech Park in Pristina and the Innovation Center Kosovo collectively represent a robust commitment to nurturing over 500 startups and developing 450 innovative products with substantial support from European partners. In this sense, we aim for our tech sector to become the economic flagship of our country, especially now when supply chain disruptions and hybrid conflicts are becoming more prevalent. Investing in the IT skills of our people is crucial. We are building the necessary infrastructure, therefore, examples being the 150 electronic services on the e-Kosovo platform, adoption of the laws on electronic identification and cybersecurity, and substantial investments in the strategy for e-government and cybersecurity. Also, our government excelled in connecting white areas to broadband internet, making Kosovo one of the first countries in Europe to connect every village with high-speed broadband internet. This initiative is just a glimpse of how our country is using innovation and technology to enhance our education frameworks and economic infrastructure, fostering a resilient and dynamic economy ready to contribute to and benefit from regional cooperation. Our ICT sector is characterized by remarkable 113% growth in the export of services in 2022 alone, and maintains strong growth in last year, 2023. The spring of 2024 has found us with net investment in this field, the inauguration of new IT companies, and the request of more and more youngsters to enroll in STEM studies, science, technology, engineering, and maths. We're especially proud that Kosovo holds the European record when it comes to women in STEM studies. While the European average stands at 17%, we have achieved 50% of all STEM students being female. As a Prime Minister, I can say that there is no investment which paid back more in return than investing in women students in STEM studies. Nowhere else we have had a higher return than investment in women students. Also, we will introduce coding from first grade this year. Perhaps we can say that in 20th century, Esperanto failed as a universal language, but I think coding could succeed in 21st century. So we have to prepare in rewriting our curriculums, at the crux of which is digitalization as part of digital transformation, and especially coding from the first grade of elementary schools. Our tech sector now encompasses over 1,500 companies, with 85% engaged in international service export, underscoring our global reach and capability. For a country with currently around 1.8 million inhabitants, those numbers encourage our government to keep investing in this sector. At the same time, we must acknowledge the migration challenges our region has faced since the fall of the Iron Curtain and the violent dissolution of Yugoslavia. Our mission as governments, and I guess I also speak for the representatives of the companies operating in our region, is to keep those young, smart people at home, equip them with the skills of the next decades, offering them the education needed to thrive right here in their home region. This is not just a vision, but a tangible reality being shaped by every young entrepreneur, educator, and innovator in Kosovo today. In 20th century, in my country, the most famous German word was Gastarbeiter. In 21st century, we want to make Ausbildung the most famous German word. How to link professional education with labor market and to bridge the skills gap. We have already started last year and is going well, because to have a thriving economic private sector, we need to provide, so to speak, non-academic professionalism. And this is going to replace migration with employment. I am convinced that we can unlock the potential of the region. We can strengthen our democracy and foster an economic structure which is ready for the future. As governments, we bear the responsibility to expand and enhance opportunities for our citizens, not to diminish them. We understand the formula for success. It rests on integrated economies, common rules, common standards, and the 4 freedoms that have established the European Union as the world's largest economic area. Although Kosovo and the Western Balkans are not yet members of the European Union, we have mechanisms in place that help remove barriers between our countries, which in turn can accelerate our accession to the European Union. One such initiative is the Berlin process, of which Bulgaria is also a participant. In this framework, we are making strides in implementing the 4 freedoms. We have begun with agreements on freedom of movement using ID cards, mutual recognition of higher education diplomas, and mutual recognition of qualifications in certain professions. These agreements allow professionals, students, and academics and entrepreneurs to move freely, fostering greater economic growth, but also increasing people-to-people connections. As we continue to implement existing agreements and sign new ones, the benefits and opportunities for our region will expand and grow. Since last November, the European Union has introduced a new initiative to boost growth and accelerate reforms, known as the EU Growth Plan for the Western Balkans. This plan directly addresses the increasing security threats from malign actors in our region and responds to our citizens' desires for a better life and a clear, merit-based path to progress. Kosovo is an active participant in the Berlin process and fully supports the EU's growth plan. These efforts are complementary that guide us toward the same goal: full membership in the European Union, the most important political project and historical process of peace and prosperity since the Second World War. Once again, thank you for having me and the Kosovo delegation here in Sofia. Dosled vaš put.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Prime Minister, for this really inspiring speech. Now we go to our second and last panel. May I introduce the representative of the main partner of Vienna Economic Forum. This is Magister Mila NENOVA, who is the Managing Director of InvestBulgaria agency, please.
And the newly elected member of the board of Vienna Economic Forum.
That's good. Good news.
That's
good news.
Yes, I'm really thrilled to be here in this new capacity of member of the board. Because what the Vienna Economic Forum does really corresponds to the ideas that we have at InvestBulgaria agency. I have an easy task because the people that spoke before me outlined quite well the policies, how we see the future, what we are going to do, how. And what I'd like to share with you is a bit more on the why we want to do it. You know, I mean, the world has changed in the recent years after COVID, after the two wars that are near us. And Europe as continent has become more strategic for its industry, for its economy, to have the companies, the strategic companies, back to Europe. So this is an opportunity for our region that we have to catch because things will change again and we might lose an opportunity. We all of us try to attract investments to our countries. That's logical, that's what we are here to do. But we have to face the truth that we distinguish between ourselves, between the different countries, the particularities of the countries. The world doesn't. We are down there, and we are a region that most investors, countries, don't know about. So before talking about the advantages of this or that country, let's think about the region and how it is important that we promote the whole region. No country is an island of prosperity in itself, because investors often look at the region, first of all, because we are small countries. We don't have big markets, we don't have high numbers for the population, so we can't be just for ourselves so interesting. We can represent an opportunity as a market, as a common market in this region. I was looking through the numbers of the commercial exchange between our countries, and I have to admit that I was surprised how low that is. I mean, with some countries, for example, with Romania, it is growing. It has grown in the recent years exponentially, but that was not the case till some years ago. With other countries, it's really low. And we are neighbors. I mean, we are the natural partners, and we can exchange, of course, goods and products and do common projects, because that's part of the future. I mean, it's what has been, the history we know. It's too much for maybe for the Balkans, but it doesn't matter. I mean, we are here to decide, to take decisions for the future. And there, it's the only possibility is cooperation. Maybe because the investment agencies and our in particular are these intermediary institutions that speak both to the investors and to the governments. We have the pulse of the situation. I mean, the business, the needs of the business are really very, very important to shape the policies that we make. And we can decide whether to take some steps and to create opportunities or not. And the part that we are talking today about the innovations and education and technologies are really very important from many points of view. Luckily, the Bulgarian policy in this has been explained so well by our Deputy Minister, and it is not by chance that we represent the Ministry of Innovation and Growth, so innovation and investment, because that's how we see it. I mean, you grow, you have economic growth through innovation. But one of the problems that we all share, and I think it's not Bulgaria, here it's all of our countries, is that young people leave. And why they leave? Because they don't see many possibilities. One of the ways to change this tendency, of course, is the education. Sometimes we educate young people and then they leave and they go abroad for better payment, of course, that's natural. Nowadays we can't stop them unless we offer an alternative. And that can be the growth in our own countries. Young people are interested in the way of the quality of living, of good jobs. They're very innovative. They have expectations. And we have to face that, and our economy has to be based on these on this basis, because otherwise we are not attractive for our own young people, and we are not attractive to bring back the people that have already left. Our region has been donating talented people to Europe and to the whole world. We have people at high positions, and Bulgarians, Macedonians, I mean everyone, and let's not list all, at very high positions, really great professionals, researchers, bankers. They're not here. And what we need to do is to create conditions for them to come back. And I strongly believe that it's really time to work together for the promotion of the region. I mean, I started with this, but I'm coming back to it because when we speak about Bulgaria, and there's still people in Europe that don't know where Bulgaria is. And I mean, it's there, and the other countries, they have no idea. We have to work together on this. And on the other hand, it's if we want to attract investment, technological companies, innovative companies, with high added value, export companies, we all are looking for these companies, of course. We don't want old-fashioned productions here. We want the best. We want the modern companies that can give us growth as well and be motors for development of our countries. One of the main reasons for coming or not coming are the people, the talents we have. One of the major strong points of Bulgaria is the talented people that we have, the engineers, the STEM professionals. Talking to the investors, they point out that we have really great IT specialists, engineers, and they say they think out of the box. And that's very common for our region, maybe because that's how historically things went. And we are very resilient people, and we've been living in a situation of crisis for the last 30 years and more. And we're adaptive, and that's really appreciated. We have women that are included in our economy, and they're a force, not just they're a force for change. And this is very important. We have to work on that. The companies that come to Bulgaria and to the region help us create these clusters of new investors and of new companies, local companies that grow, sharing the best practices. So it's a win-win situation, but it is us that we have to invest in people, in education, in innovation, because innovations are the only fast track for development that we have. And we have to catch up. I mean, let's face it, we have to catch up. But modern technologies can give us this opportunity to do it really fast and just to save us some steps, some stages. Innovations are very democratic. I mean, we don't know when, which startup, in which research center will come up with the next great breakthrough. And why not do it here in our region, creating the opportunities for growth for all of us. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for putting the right questions. And I presume the other point of view, from the more, let's say, Western point of view, because we agreed that the region is, which is concerned, but Mr. Dr. Heinz Messinger has the point of view from the western part of the region, or northern part of the region. He's managing director of AME International and also a vice president of Vienna Economic Forum. Please.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Excellencies, I could be very brief because the subject is innovation, technology, education. I think I could finish my speech with 2 words. What else? What else do we have? Raw materials, we are not #1 in that, Europe. If you talk about energy, we are not #1. We are net importers. The US managed in a period of 20 years to become from a net importer a net exporter. So what else do we have other than that? But let's first face the truth, because this is always the basis of building something. Europe is falling behind. We are falling behind China, we are falling behind the US. That's a fact. People say in 2 critical sectors out of 10, Europe is managing not that bad. It's material sciences and it's green energy. Frankly speaking, my job enforces me to travel a lot to Asia and Africa. Every photovoltaic I see in Africa comes from China, so I don't see our footprint there. Every new car in Central Asia I see, electric cars, is coming from China. I don't see any footprint of our green energy, how should I say, advances. Let's talk a little bit about innovation. Well, let's start with education, because it's the basis of innovation. It was very inspiring hearing Prime Minister Kurti that you invest a lot in STEM, and this is something Mr. Stepic mentioned. We have lost that in Central Europe. But I think equally important, not only to teach STEM young people, is to teach them entrepreneurship, because this is what we are lacking in Europe. We don't like to take risks any longer. We are saturated and we don't like this. In Israel, you have a rich, in every technical university, they have courses for entrepreneurship, because this is the future. It's not that in, let's say, I can say from Germany and Austria, 90% of school books in Austria and Germany do write relatively bad things about business, and this is wrong at the end of the point, because at the end of the point we need entrepreneurship to how should I say, structure our future. Having said that, let me quickly come a little bit also to where my heart belongs, it's healthcare. And we have some major achievements in Europe. We also have to talk about the achievements. Don't be too pessimistic. I mean, some of the achievements are definitely that in most parts of the US, or let's say in the US, innovation is always quick profit driven. So whatever innovation is there is quick profit driven. Innovation in China is, again, business or profit driven, but also security and supervision driven. In Europe, we have, interestingly enough, a lot of nice tools. We have the exchange of digital identification cards for a population of 400 million people. We have the exchange of medical data. which is significant. This is something in the US, if you lose your job or you change your job, let's put it like this, in most cases you will also change your HMO, your health insurance provider. That means at the end of the day, until today, that you have to print out physically your medical record and bring it to the next health insurance company, because you can't transfer the data in the US. It's not there. So let's see these positive movements and let's work on that, because I think in these social-driven systems, Europe does have some competitive advantages to other large regions in the world. We have this European health data space, which is really a very good tool. It enables us to exchange patient summaries. It enables us to exchange e-prescription. It will in the future, in the near future, enable us to exchange imagings and lab data. And that will bring me also to an end to what I wanted to mention. I see in the region a lot of tenders coming out which are not in line with those standardization, with these open standards, with open source software, with structured data. And this will just create islands. This is a waste of money if you do not follow in your tenders in this in this very fragmented region of Europe. If you don't follow certain standards, it will be a waste of money. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. This was the business speaking. Now we come to academia. Professor Dr. Danica PURG. She is the president of the IEDC. This is the Bled School for Management, also a long-term partner of the Vienna Economic Forum. Please.
Thank you very much. It is good afternoon. Since I come indeed from educational sector, International Management School in Bled in Slovenia, I would like to focus mostly on the leadership, because we are really doing our best to educate excellent, responsible leaders. And I have to tell you this occasion that I was very much enjoying the speech of Mr. Kurti, Prime Minister Kurti, because we don't have too many ministers who talk so importantly about education, and because I believe him what he says, because in my school we have, looking to the number of people in his country, really many Kosovars studying leadership and management in general. So thank you also for that. I would like to say that we have to rethink the skills and attributes of leadership because of the constant and great changes all the time, especially in technologies. And we see that every industrial revolution has been a reason to recalibrate the issues of leadership and leadership development. Since Taylor published Principles of Scientific Management in 1911, the time to adapt leadership and management to new developments has become shorter and shorter. And more importantly, innovation is no longer a human planned and controlled activity, but it is also driven by what important authors, Heinz and teams, said, auto-sapient agents, systems that can learn autonomously and make complex judgments. Political and business leaders need to understand this auto-sapient and how to work with it. And this is what I would like a little bit to elaborate on. Technology is developing so fast that the human mind cannot keep up. However, technology has such a dramatic impact on us that it can't be introduced through trial and error, and it can't be left to technology alone. These two authors say that we need to think of this auto-sapient as a collaborator rather than a tool. If I confine myself to companies, I agree with some authors whose advice that companies should establish and structure process to promote hybrid intelligence. That is, cooperation between artificial intelligence and human mind. Such cooperation should be designed to support humanity, and leaders should consider and/or address several questions. First one is how to be a responsible leader who can take the company, people, and stakeholders to the next level of being. Thinking of such a responsible leader would be based on the set of the principles of creating humanistic vision, shared power, prioritizing high level of networking, continuous self-development and team improvement, empowerment and partnership with various technologies. Most importantly, however, a responsible leader would focus on creative, meaningful activities that would benefit employees and society. Second question is how to deal with ethical side of technological advancement. Creating technologies and algorithms that benefit society and are inclusive, this would be the first part of the answer. Giving jobs to people and not replacing them with artificial intelligence and technologies. And the third one, ensuring individual data privacy. And then the third question we have, how should people responsibly use the technologies that the companies are making? And the answer, one of the answers, educating people about the positive and responsible use of technologies so that ensuring the products that company is making are used for the benefit and not in the harm of society. And then we have the fourth question, how to define the new functions of employees and foster reskilling. In the age of AI technologies, redefining employees' function is essential for adapting to changing workplace dynamics. That is why companies should shift from rigid job descriptions. I can tell you this is now really a lot, is talking about future of work. And you know, France established, I believe, the best institute for this, financed by Banque Nationale de Paris, talking about the future of work. And I was recently listening to that lady who is leading this institute, and it's really very much, you know, against rigid job descriptions and fostering reskilling initiatives to empower employees to tackle creative and challenging tasks effectively. Rather than confining individuals to singular tasks, we should encourage roles that stimulate innovations and engage the intellect. You would not believe, but in our school, we introduced more than 10 years ago art and leadership. What can leaders learn from art to be more innovative, more creative, etc.? And we see how this is very important. So we believe that in the future, organization will thrive on shared leadership, fostering an environment where individuals are empowered and motivated to unleash their creativity and integrating hybrid intelligence, human and artificial intelligence going hand in hand. And with this purpose, we established, besides the very important Institute on Sustainability, recently also institute which is called Bled Institute of Leadership in Digitalization and Artificial Intelligence. We try to collect you know, all kinds of experts around the world and to deal with these issues, to help to the companies to integrate artificial intelligence and to really aim to this, how to see the future working, you know, both factors, human and the technological one, hand in hand. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much also for mentioning artificial intelligence. So a topic for the future for which we need our own human intelligence to do it. Now, from academia, we switch to politics. Dr. Goran JOVETIĆ is State Secretary of the Ministry of Economic Development of Montenegro.
Thank you very much. Distinguished speakers, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends. It's my great pleasure and honor to be here today and to greet all of you on behalf of Government of Montenegro and Ministry of Economic Development and myself. It's always a privilege to be here and to be participants in Vienna Economic Forum, and absolutely the privilege to be in beautiful Sofia. Montenegro has very, very good and long traditional cooperation with Vienna Economic Forum, and always we use this platform to share the experience, especially the experience in the region, and use this opportunity to boost our regional cooperation. Generally speaking, Montenegro, as you already know, is the candidate country to EU, and now we completely open all negotiation chapters for in cooperation with EU, and expect that maybe until this year we will close up to 10 chapters. So we strongly believe that we will be the next EU member states. But what is most important for all of us that are in the Montenegro, that Montenegro is the NATO country, that NATO members, and we absolutely boost that cooperation under this NATO system. Another way, what is the important in this day for us is the application for SIEPA. SIEPA is the single euro payments area. As you already know, Montenegro as a currency use the euro, and we expect that until end of this year we will be the members of the single euro payment area, and it's absolutely important for all of us, especially for our citizens and the companies, because this platform make cross-border transfer fast and much easier. So many activities is behind us, but many activities is in front of us as well. Regarding the regional cooperation, we think that it's a regional cooperation very important for us, and we believe that together under the regional cooperation we can make many good progress, especially in the progress towards to EU membership. So we are absolutely for that part, and we saw that innovation can be one very important task for regional cooperation, which we can use for regional cooperation, because innovation generally drives competition and drives progress. So if you see there are many areas for cooperation, but innovation maybe could be very interesting topic for all of our countries, and the common topic for all of our countries. But what is important for all of us is to prepare our system, is to prepare our companies for the common EU markets. Today someone mentioned and discussing about the markets, about some market interventions, but I think that is completely the wrong way, because if we want to be the part of EU, we have to prepare our companies for competition. We have to prepare our system for competition, and we absolutely have to open our market. So I think that together we can do this. Regarding the innovation, many activities, as I already mentioned, we already did. But what is important for us regarding the strategic framework we prepared, actually we established a few years ago, smart specialization strategy. This strategy recognized innovation is a key driver, for the progress and recognize the three types of the growth, stable growth, smart growth, and inclusive growth. So we continue with these activities under the new industry policy. Our industry policy have to be established, adopted in the second quarter of this year, because the industry strategy is one of the closing measures for the chapter 20, which we can believe that will be closed in this year. So in this strategy as well, we recognize the very important part regarding the innovation, especially in the green economy, digitalization, etc., etc. So regarding this, we as well recognize important to support some startups, to support the companies, entrepreneurship, and Montenegro established Innovation Fund. Innovation Fund is the state company, but this company is some kind of the umbrella for boosting innovations in the companies. And in the previous period, we make the very good progress regarding the support of companies and especially startup companies to involve some kind of the innovation, especially innovation process in the system. So many activities in front of us, but I wanted to come back for the trade market. I discussed on the previous with my dear colleagues from the Hayek Institute. Barbara called me and she will maybe discuss later and more explain about that. But I generally think that speaking about some kind of the free zones in the country is the wrong way, because we have to think that all our countries have to be free zones. All countries have to be free zones because we have to prepare and to have the ambient environment for the companies and to work without any barriers. Sometimes I understand that there are some needs, some global shocks or something like that. But in that time as well, we have to cooperate with companies, cooperate with the private sector, and to decide together which measures have to be involved. But without that cooperation, I think that is the completely wrong position. I heard from a dear colleague's messenger, he mentioned that is entrepreneurship very important, and I completely share with you your opinion. I think that sometimes the idea about entrepreneurship is the decrease in our region. If you see what's happened in our region before 20 or more years ago, I think that we more and more have that entrepreneurship ideas. Now we have a completely very difficult situation. I can speak for Montenegro because we have one very worrying, for my point of view, very worrying surveys at the economic faculty in Montenegro, where show us that more than 70% of the students want to work in the public sector. It's the very problematic part for all of us, and we started together with the University of Montenegro one project, I will be entrepreneurs, because we think that we have to encourage idea of entrepreneurship from that stage or to earlier stage, maybe in the secondary school or maybe earlier. So there are many activities from in front of us, but I believe that together with the region, together we can solve these problems, and I believe that very soon we will be together the part of the EU, because it's the best way for all of us. At the end, I would like to once again to thank you for the opportunity to discuss with you, and I believe that at the end this panel and generally this Sofia meeting will bring us more tangible and fruitful results. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. As you see, this panel is very well balanced. We had business, we had academia, we had politics. Now we had administration, but a little bit more with administration, because Mrs. Ayşe ÇERI is a representative of Presidency of Turkey Investment Office, and she's a project manager there. Please.
Thank you. Dear Mr. Prime Minister, distinguished guests, thank you for having me today. Innovation, technology, and education play a critical role in driving investments and fostering regional economic cooperation. Turkey has been focused on innovation as a driver of economic growth. According to the Global Innovation Index 2023, Turkey ranks 4th in the upper middle income group economies such as Malaysia, Bulgaria, and India. Turkey has been making significant improvement in embracing technology to modernize its economy. Digital transformations such as e-government services, digital infrastructure investments, and promoting Industry 4.0 technologies. Turkey has a strong R&D and technology ecosystem with 89 technoparks, and almost 700 international companies are operating in those technoparks. 1,306 R&D centers with 83,000 of people employment in those centers. Turkey also works very hard to improve its education system and also vocational training education system. Half of the population is under the age of 34, and it creates a dynamic and well-educated labor force for the investors in Turkey. Invest in Turkey is dedicated to promoting knowledge-intensive and high-value-added investments that bolster global value chains and sustainability, creating a mutually beneficial environment and enhancing bilateral ties between the member countries of the Vienna Economic Forum is crucial for Turkey. Invest in Turkey takes pride in being part of Vienna Economic Forum's success story since its founding, and look forward to many more successful years of collaboration together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this clear and short statement. And now, when all this panel has come, now we have a think tank to sum it all up, because Professor Dr. Barbara Kohm, she's the president of Friedrich-Hayek Institute.
Thank you very much, Dr. Vassilev, for this kind introduction. Ambassador Dr. Kircheva, President BRICS, Your Excellencies, Mr. Prime Minister, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is a privilege to discuss no innovation without education. And education, and we have heard that, plays a crucial role in fostering innovation. It equips individuals with the knowledge, with the skills, with the mindset needed to think critically, solve problems, with the creativity, and of course also to adapt to challenges. By investing in education, we not only empower individuals, but to reach their full potential, to drive societal progress and technological advancements. Education cultivates curiosity, it encourages exploration, and it promotes lifelong learning, all of which are essential ingredients for innovation, for prosperity, and for economic growth. So in other words, in essence, education is a foundation upon which innovation thrives. And I took the liberty today to remind us of one of the few Nobel Prize winners in economics who happens to be an Austrian and a European, so one of the few Europeans. And this is Friedrich August von Hayek. He was awarded the Nobel Prize in economics 50 years ago for his work on how knowledge is created in society. On the one hand, and he became famous on his work 80 years ago when The Road to Serfdom was published, where he was fighting, or where he was arguing against centralization and against totalitarianism of all kinds. And I think this is truly important when we talk about economics, when we talk about innovation, and when we talk about education. So what did Hayek teach us about education? Well, and what does this all have to do with our main topic today, the role of innovation in technology and also for driving the regional economic cooperation? Because what we all know from Austrian economics, the division of labor is truly important. We must and we have to collaborate constantly, but we also have to divide labor and let those do the things that they can do best and outsource other things to other people. In other words, this has been the success. This has been the success of Europe, and this has been the success of our European regions. And I was carefully observing and listening to the first panel today, and also what my speakers here said. And one term that truly hit the floor was entrepreneurship. Because if we don't create entrepreneurs, if we don't educate the next generation to take up self-responsibility and to compete and to also to achieve, then I think Europe doesn't have such a bright future as we all wish to have it. And Mr. Stepic clearly stated that we are over-bureaucratized. So the one-size-fits-all thing definitely does not work, neither for our enterprises, for our businesses, nor does it work for our education system, nor does it work for our societies. So why do we need the innovation? We saw it: fostering economic growth, enhancing competitiveness, promoting collaboration. This can be done via technology, when we facilitate the connectivity, AI, etc. We've already been talking about that, driving efficiency and productivity, and of course enabling this digital transformation and opportunity. So what kind of education do we need? Is it private or public? I would say we need both. We just did our free market tour the last couple of weeks, and just last week we were in four cities. Three of them were in Romania. We were in Iași, we were in Bucharest, we were in Cluj, and also in beautiful country of Montenegro in Podgorica. Two of the universities were state-owned, state-run, and two of them were private. And the outcome was equally great because the students understood the concept of achievement principle and entrepreneurship. And they were trained in many ways, not single-sided, but in many fields, and they were challenged by their professors that it's not a one-size-fits-all, that they need to think broader. So what kind of education do we need in order to be more competitive and to keep Europe's role as a hub of competition? And this is where Hayek comes back and where he reminded us of the nature of knowledge in our society, where he said knowledge is dispersed. Knowledge is kept from the individual to the next, and it's passed on. And this is how knowledge is being created in society. Why it is so important that the role of the individual helps us create economic advancements. But he also talked about competition as a discovery process, which also comes back to the individual again, that the individual's role needs to be understood also when it comes to education, but also when it comes to politics. And then finally, or actually third last point, spontaneous order and market coordination. Hayek believed in the spontaneous order of markets where complex economic phenomena emerge from the interactions of individuals pursuing their self-interests. And after all, I mean, to a certain extent, we all know what is good for us and what is better for us than some anonymous organization that is centrally planned far away, where bureaucrats rule and where no self-interest is allowed. So after all, this is also important for economics. And then the last point where I would like to bring Hayek in is central planning. Central planning does not work eventually. When we have seen Europe did not succeed when we followed the one-size-fits-all. I'm a huge fan of Europe. I believe in the future of Europe, and I believe in the 4 European freedoms that are truly important, but we need to allow those European freedoms to emerge. So what views would we share with regards to education? First of all, personal responsibility. Second, decentralization and diversity, market mechanisms that should also bring in, that are used in our educational systems. So what would be the policies that we need for this success to come out? The first policy tool would be empower local governments and educational institutions and enterprises with greater autonomy and decision-making authority to reach an optimal output. The second would be market-based incentives and competition among those institutions. The third would be collaborative networks and knowledge sharing. I already mentioned that before at the introduction. And then educational reforms with diverse learning opportunities. It has been already discussed by Professor Burg and also by Dr. JOVETIĆ. Those are crucial roles. And finally, reducing, and here I put full circle, come back to the first panel, reducing regulatory burdens and promoting flexibility. Those would be the key policy tools in order to have a successful next generation and to innovate our next generation to become more innovative and to help Europe become more competitive, and after all, that the students and the next generation understands that we are not only competing among each other, but our biggest competitors are the other continents in the world and the other economies. So this is what we need to do. Achievement principle, competition, and self-responsibility as key factors for the next generation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Kohn. Now, I give you 1 or 2 minutes to think who will intervene, and now I will play in the meantime the role of a bad journalist and ask the panel unpleasant question. Most of our societies, of course, there is no rule, but most of our societies in the region are either aging or marked by immigration or both. How can such societies successfully innovate? Who will answer? Mr. JOVETIČ, maybe. Because you're younger than me.
It's very tough question. It's a very tough question, and I fully understand. From my point of view, I can speak as someone who finished economy faculty and looks from the economic side, but sometimes it is not same if you look from the public sector. So for my point of view, it's absolutely we have to support our students, to support the young people for
This is innovation.
It's innovation, absolutely. It's the innovation state and play. So I believe that is the good way. But as mentioned, the very important part is education. Education, absolutely, because education is something what we have to change. We have to change some things from the early stage, not only from the faculty. I think that is the faculty. It's the very only the faculty is a very wrong way. We have to start from the secondary school, primary school, to discuss about the kindergarten, about the entrepreneurship. So it's absolutely way for my point of view.
So you are playing Professor Kohn's game by advocating on education, but I would ask her that what is education without industry to catch it? Then with very successful education without industry, without a market, we are feeding the global market, not our societies. And I would presume Hayek would be looking for such industry and for such demography to feed this, if he was alive.
Well, thank you. You're totally right. Hayek would definitely look into our markets, and this was what he was always looking at, and why markets are the ones who drive our demand and who drive our supply, and this is why also this is also true for education. And if we have say hubs, hubs for technology when it comes to energy, then we of course definitely will have to educate those kids in this demand. But this is logic, because then there will be companies who will invest into those, whether it's private schools or whether it's public schools, whether it's in the vocational training, but in all kinds of forms. And he also said, you know, there is no such, there should not be a difference between private and public education. You can have both at the same time, but they should be they should compete. And this is the most important thing.
By saying this, in the beginning, I said that the region has no name, but is it a market, Mrs. PURG?
In fact, I wanted to share with you a good practice. We have
finally good news.
A lot of students, of course, from all these countries go to study abroad, which is great, but of course many don't return. We have 2,500 students in Slovenia in association. You know, all Europe together, they are in association and they want to return. And so they keep the contact with our school, and we are inviting them for speeches and etc., so that they are presenting themselves to the companies and they are indeed coming back. So I think that to keep in touch with them is great. And by the way, our region has great image in the world as a very educated one and entrepreneurial more and more. So I am positive.
It's good to have optimism, but Mrs. NENOVA, do we have the same trend in Bulgaria? Because we can presume that there are people who want to return, but they may want to return to Slovenia or to Austria, but not to Bulgaria and other countries.
Well, actually, it is a good news because the trend is positive. Last year, it was the first time that the numbers are equal of people leaving and people coming back. And that is very positive. Obviously, creating the conditions in Bulgaria it's very important. As agency, we're very pragmatic people because we're talking to the business, and you either offer something concrete or it stays like a good idea. And what we did as agency, for example, the first thing we did, we have this initiative that's open doors of the companies. Because one thing that we've realized is, and I have the experience of Confindustria, I see the colleagues from Confindustria that I cannot not mention because that's an initiative of Confindustria Italy, and the colleagues shared the initiative with us. All the students to go to the factories, to the offices, because dual education is very important, but it's for the people that have already decided, for the young students that have already decided their path. One of the reasons that people are leaving is not because there are no opportunities, but because they don't know their opportunities. Very often, young people have these very outdated ideas of what a factory looks like, what working in production is, and they don't know that nowadays factories are innovative. They offer really great conditions, working conditions. They offer opportunities for innovation, for engineers, for management. At all levels, we can have a really great career in a production company. And it doesn't necessarily need to be a foreign company. Most Bulgarian companies are growing this way nowadays. But young people don't know. I mean, they don't know the companies that are in their city. And, I mean, looking in Facebook, you don't see factories. You see other things that are beautiful. But abroad, I mean, we all know nobody waits for you there and offers you the red carpet. So one thing is to show them an alternative, because they have to choose to stay. You can't just expect them to know, and that's one thing. We're working quite a lot with the bilateral chambers, because I think that's an instrument that every country has to use more, because that's the business, and that's very important. And one last thing, if I may, when I said cooperation is very important and working together as region is very important, I have a very official invitation to make to all the investment agencies of the region. We'll be taking part in JOVETIĆ festival in October, and I'd like to invite you all to come and to participate, and we can have the investment agencies corner and speak about the region and have this cooperation you're talking about, and have practical, pragmatical propositions and do it together. And here we have Mrs. Rosen, who is the heart of the JOVETIČ Festival. If you're interested, I can introduce her to you later. But let's start doing something. Thank you.
But Mr. Messinger, can we dream, I mean, in that sense, that normally we could think that investment, that innovation, unlike the sun, comes from west towards the east. But can we have another Baltics here and have a real innovation coming out of our region? Or this is just a dream? Good for conferences like that.
It's definitely not a dream, you know, but you know, you have to get certain things right. I think, first of all, I think migration is such a big word, but there are so many different ways of migration. You have people who are very entrepreneurial. They go to the US because they don't care about healthcare systems, they don't care about schools. They say, I will make it. Then you have another sort of migration, people looking for a better life, for a better life. You know, I mean, compared to some of the countries involved, I mean, naturally you would love to live in a country where education works properly, where healthcare works properly, where public transport works properly, where there is a rule of law, where, you know, all of that is another form of migration. And there is migration, and this is what we face today in Central Europe, into our social systems, which is another form of migration. There are so many different migrations. Coming back to innovation, I mean, you know, I see that a couple of those governments, and if I listen to Prime Minister Kurti or to Mrs. NENOVA, at the end of the day, if you create an environment where you manage that young people say, I want to stay, this is what you need to do. This is the policy. This is policy which it's at its best. I mean, I've been for the last 30 years many times in Africa. You know, Africa was always a continent, or many countries in Africa, where people said, "Oh, you know, I have a brilliant idea." When you met them in the hotel or whatever, I have a brilliant idea. How can I get to the West? How can I come to the West? Today, in some of these countries, like Kenya, like in Ghana, to some extent Rwanda, those people, those young guys, they say, I have a brilliant idea. Can you help me to realize it here? This is what you need to create from my point of view.
Thank you. Mrs. ÇERI, is innovation and investment always a competition between nations, or it's also partnership?
Thank you for the question. I think it is both. Sometimes it is a partnership. Sometimes it is a, you know, not a partnership. Every country, if the country has the innovation together with the investment, I mean, the investments, those have the innovation, I mean, it of course improve the country, and then it can give some benefits to the neighborhood, to the other countries in the coming future, I mean. So it's important both having innovation and investment together for the investment side.
Thank you. I agree. Prime Minister Kurti, please.
Thank you very much. I didn't want to limit myself only in the impulse statement, so to say. So I felt slightly discriminated. You know, like you speak something in the beginning and we get rid of you. Just as we are not meant as human beings to speak one language only, I believe we are not meant to live in one place only. This year, these days, we celebrate 300 years of Immanuel Kant, who lived only in Königsberg, Kaliningrad, but that was 3 centuries ago. People live in different places throughout their life. No one wants to live anymore in one place only, especially young women and men. So we have to deal with this situation where people will migrate. There is nothing that can stop that. It doesn't have to do simply with the well-being and fairness, social well-being and fairness of the institutions. People want to travel, to try something new. If there is no new world for all of us, there must be a new place for me. So this is something that we have to take as into consideration whatever equation of policy making we do. Therefore, we as a government, we are engaging more, not simply on preventing migration for jobs abroad with Ausbildung at home, but also in trying to do some brain gain after brain drain. Let's think of returning people, because they will leave. Let's think of a new relation with our diaspora. In Kosovo, we have huge diaspora. Every third citizen of our country is not resident of our country. 560,000 Kosovar Albanians in Germany alone. During summer holidays, July and August, 27 direct flights per day between Kosovo and Switzerland. We have vast diaspora, which happens to be homesick as well. Sometimes I suspect that they left so they could come back. So I think we need a more dynamic relation with our diasporas. We as Kosovo are taking the model of Irish diaspora in many elements of it. Because there are several models. For example, some rely on the Armenian model, some on Greek, some on Jewish. We like more, it's convenient for us, the Irish model. My Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs and Diaspora, Lisa Gosh, is working hard on how to have our diaspora with their know-how, investments in economy, not only remittances for maintenance of social maintenance of their families, have them closer, a kind of attached diaspora. So this is one thing that perhaps could be food for thought for all of you. And second is that 3-4 years now, there are no protests in my country with the slogan, "We want jobs." Nobody says anymore, "I want a job." What youth want is a better job. So jobs are there. If you see recent history, 3-4 decades ago, first we embarked collectively into eradicating poverty. So poverty was the main word, how to get rid of poverty. After we got rid of poverty, it was employment, how to get rid of unemployment. Now we have reached the third stage. Third stage is better jobs. We have to help our businesses to increase average salary. When somebody leaves Kosovo for Heidelberg, Sorbonne, or Oxford, to be honest, I don't want to stop them. But if somebody who has average salary, 600-700 euros per month, and if it would have been 1,000, they would have chosen to stay, that hurts me. So those who go for higher careers, greater R&D in different kind of European or American institutes, you just try to help them. But those who would, if they would have for 25-30% higher average salary in private sector, they would decide not to leave. There we should invest and they should take care of. And usually that happens to young couples after their first child is born. Because they don't want to rent an apartment, they want to have their own apartment. The expenses of the family are increasing. People who are in their early 30s and they decide to leave. So I think that is the social strata where we should invest more. and try to view it positively, that people are leaving, in the sense that we have got rid of poverty, we have got rid of unemployment, we need better jobs for our people.
I cannot stop the journalist in me, Mr. Prime Minister, to ask you one follow-up question on that. Because don't you fear that the next stage would be almost everybody has a job, but no competition? Since our countries are small, all our countries are relatively small, vis-a-vis, let's say, Turkey or others. Don't you think that there's a disguise into blessing if everybody has a job and better job? And then comes the problem when there is no real competition and innovation comes out of competition.
That could be one future problem for our country. We have many current ones. But I also tempted to say that I don't think that competition will evaporate, because people will always want to do more and better. So a kind of comparing yourself with the other is almost kind of a state of being. So I don't think that it can evaporate. On the other hand, I would like to see innovation as something that helps competition. And in this respect, investing ever more in R&D helps. Because now people do see that, of course, we will never be close to the G2, US, China, but we will also have to do our things at home. People, young people, do understand that development is a homegrown thing. Is a homegrown thing, just like EU. But it's not self-made, so to speak. You need help from abroad, but it is you who should be the barrier and the leader of your development. And in trying to be leader and in trying to have ownership over your own development, that brings competition always along. So this could be perhaps one solution, but I'm looking forward to this next future problem of my country.
Thank you. Please.
Konstantin Zugrafov, Industrial Holding, Bulgaria. As industry needs innovations, which is the topic of our session, but behind the industry we have the education. I have one question to the leadership of Vienna Economic Forum. Ambassador Kircheva, Ambassador Brix, do you have any idea or any attempts to create a network of universities and educational centers of the countries of the Vienna Economic Forum? And if the answer to this question is no, this might be a good proposal, and also the result of this meeting to start some initiative to create a domain of educational institutions and universities of the Vienna Economic Forum countries for the future, because we don't expect to have innovations without education. I'm taking the floor on behalf of the industry, but I'm sure the support of the academia will be very strong for this proposal. Thank you.
Innovation without education is like representation without taxation, I think. So, Ambassador Kircheva, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I have to say something to the auditorium that I'm the Industrial Holding Bulgaria. I'm the supervisory board, so president, and this is maybe for me special, the question, but I have the answer. And I have the answer here, and all of you will see the answer after some minutes. Vienna Economic Forum was supportive some years ago, 4 years ago, in establish the cooperation between 3 universities, New Bulgarian University, the Bucharest University, and University in Krems. Nowadays, after some minutes, here in the hall, some ladies, we will have so we will sign memorandum of understanding between Sofia University, St. Clement Ohridski, represented by Vice-rector Professor Dr. Renata Bužankova, and the second memorandum of understanding is with the University of National and Haute Economy, represented by the Dean of the Faculty of International Economy and Policy, Professor Dr. Svetlana Boneva. It's the second university, is my former university. I teach my students before the change in Bulgaria, so I'm very pleased to have after some minutes, after a secret in the beginning again, Prime Minister, and then to have this signing of memorandum of understanding. Vienna Economic Forum is always open for every initiative, and the students and university are in our heart, as the Prime Minister of Slovenia always said.
Professor Coleman, then Mr. Briggs, but obviously everybody is working for you today.
Well, unfortunately not. But with all due respect and very humbly, I just may mention that Ambassador Kircheva took the position of honorary ambassador to all the universities we work with in the region, which is almost 50 to 70 think tanks and universities, all in Central, South, and Eastern Europe. And thank you very much, Elena, for doing that.
Ambassador Briggs.
That's true. Just let me say, good ideas have many fathers. So that's good. And as far as university is concerned, we have the Danube Rectors Conference, where you have this cooperation between universities, which we can even support through the European Union. We should do much more. Then there is a Central European network of universities, where I am the ambassador for the University of Vienna. Unfortunately, no Sofia University is member so far. It's only that should come. And thirdly, you have the Central European Initiative, and they also do university cooperation. And I could mention more and more. There is a university network of Southeastern European University. My problem is only we all like to sign memoranda, but we should work also, actually. We should implement these memoranda. And I am at the moment also rector of the Diplomatic Academy. And when I started, more than 6 years ago, the first thing I did was burn all the old memoranda. I never signed a memorandum of understanding again as Vienna Diplomatic School of International Studies. But I work with all the partners that want to work with me. So we do exchange, we do these projects, but I don't like the paperwork, the bureaucracy that is behind it. And we work now, we have students from 55 countries, including from the region, and we do all the time work with international partners. And you know what, my place is proud that actually when it was founded in the 18th century, it was called Oriental Academy, looking towards this region.
Okay, thank you. Maybe one short intervention before we sum up. Either somebody says now something or keep quiet eternally. How was that? Now I have the official summing up of, first of all, of Ambassador Briggs.
Thank you very much for giving me the floor for summing up. First of all, it's a pity that we stop here, because I feel that we all share the impression that there are so many important topics on the table that we should discuss. So I hope we also as a team can take up many of these issues which are here. Secondly, I love Mr. Stepic, because Mr. Stepic said in his very short intervention, he said the most important thing. transformation does never happen from the outside. It happens always from the inside. You may help from other parts, but I think this is an important message also from here. Let's rely on our own resources that we have. But we have a partnership that is here. That I heard very strong here. The third point was very impressive to me to see how many different perspectives we have heard from the different countries. Some people may say this is negative because it means chaos. But other people would say, yes, that's the plurality in Europe that we need. That's how we create something together on our own traditions. So I think working on these sort of very different perspectives, and especially the former Commissioner Gabriel, she was very outspoken about this, how she sees that we need to work on together on this and these perspectives, like what we do with energy connectivity, digital innovation. As you mentioned, the city networks and so on. So very important, I say. My third point would be, I think in some of the statements it was mentioned, we do not have a single market in Europe. We don't have a single market in Europe. We have to work on it. We don't even have half a single market. When you look into the paper that was written by Mr. Letta for last week's council, you find all the missing links in there. And many of these links are essential. The digital part is not really in the single market. The capital market is not part of the single market. So there are so many issues that we should integrate into the single market, and I'm not talking about the enlargement, but also the enlargement when I talk about this, that we need single market. And I think this was very much obvious in the discussion we had. So, and maybe it's a possibility that we contact also Mr. Letta to continue this discussion and let him also know that what he did for the European Council is something very, very, I think, valuable. Well, there is a point I have to mention. It's as an Austrian, there was this elephant in the room that some of our friends here spoke, that Schengen is not open for countries which actually provide all the requisite requirements. And I don't apologize as an Austrian because I'm here as the president of the Vienna Economic Forum. And in this function, I can only say all of the Vienna Economic Forum is for this common Schengen area together with Bulgaria and Romania. This is the position of the Economic Forum. And that's already my last point from what we discussed. We all hoped, and we heard it also from the Prime Minister, that finally the economy trumps politics. At the moment, when we look into what's happening in Europe, I am not so sure, and we heard about how many things were decided by politics, and the Schengen discussion is a very typical example of this. So let us work, and we take this also from this day, that we have to work to make it real that the markets and the economy trumps politics. The trend is at the moment not in this direction. And this brings me to the last point that I, in a very subjective conclusion, want to make is, everybody spoke about education and Ausbildung, as the Prime Minister said. I like that, although it sounds very German. In Austria we say Ausbildung. So it sounds a bit different, but it's the same. And go away from the Gastarbeiter to the Ausbildung is certainly what we are doing here. But I always have the feeling that concerns also the economy in this region, that there is no clarity about the role of the state in all of this. Some people are calling for the big state, some people are calling for no state, like Madame Kohl is calling for a small state. But is there a real discussion about how strong the state should be in this region? I'm afraid I'm Austrian, so I have to say we have a government at the moment in Austria which ideologically would say we need less state. But actually they're doing more state, although they are a conservative majority conservative government. So the role of the state and the need of the role of the state is important, especially for this region, and I think this would deserve discussion. That's what I also take away from discussion that they had here. But overall, I would say tomorrow is the birthday of Shakespeare, by the way, and I think that's a good sign. That's a good sign because I loved everybody who's talked about technical education. But please, let's not forget the humanities. And these has always been also the strength of Europe. And not because Shakespeare is European or was European, let's not forget that, but that is a strength of Europe. And if we look into the European idea, when we say we need a vision for Europe, the vision must be more than simply the market or simply the employability of young people. It must be the ideas that we have about Europe. That's a very general remark. I do it at every conference where I have the chance to do it because it's true, simply. And that means also work in the educational area that we have. I stop here, but actually I stop here only to pass over to Ambassador Kircheva with a few surprises and final words. Thank you very much.
Yeah. I just can assure you that you know better than me that everything which was not solved here will be solved over lunch and bilateral meetings. And like we make a full circle, you mentioned Shakespeare, he was born on that date and he died on that date. So we're making a full circle now of our conference. I don't know if it's a fitting metaphor, but I give this the floor to Ambassador Kircheva to sum up.
Thank you very much, and allow me to try to be very, how to say, to don't be very loud. We are here in Hall Shakespeare. This is the Hall Shakespeare, but the people from Bulgaria, especially who, like me, passed the half of the life in communism, we know who has yesterday and who has the day before yesterday, the birthday. Excuse me to mention it. Yesterday was Lenin's birthday, and the day before, the other, Hitler. Sorry, it's a joke. It must be a joke, but we are in Shakespeare. How to do? We are in Shakespeare Hall, so thank you very much, Mr. President, and thank you very much for all these participants in discussion and all of you who are here with us in this hall. It was a very interesting Vienna Economic Forum Sofia meeting. We are thinking about the future always, with the next meeting. The last meeting, 2023, was in Pristina. The meeting before was in Istanbul meeting. So we are thinking about every point of this theme, what is, how I mentioned in the beginning, for the common good of the whole people of the region. Now we are full of secrets in Vienna Economic Forum. I would like to ask for the beginning Prime Minister Kurti to come to me here if you are agree. And Mr. Penkov. Where is Mr. Penkov?
There.
Our member. Mr. Prime Minister, we have something special. Our members of Vienna Economic Forum are very, very helpful, all of this. Our member of Vienna Economic Forum, Mr. Dr. Vladimir Penkov, and his law firm was so nice to suppose, and we have to give to you a special sculpture. What is it? How to say?
Yeah, this sculpture is prepared, especially handmade, by the famous Bulgarian sculptor Andrei Moskov. So this is.
And allow me to applaud Vienna Economic Forum award presented to His Excellency Mr. Albin Kurti for the great contribution to the regional economic cooperation and the common understanding in the region of Vienna Economic Forum, from the Adriatic to the Black Sea. Mr. Prime Minister.
Thank you very much.
It's
Thank you very much.
so yes, please.
It's beautiful and heavy lion. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Do you have some 5 minutes?
Of course.
Yeah. The next, so please, of Vienna Economic Forum, we want to give to our active members, and I'm asking Mr. President, it's secretary also for you. What is
So,
it?
something about Bulgarian culture. It's not Shakespeare, but
It's not Shakespeare.
But it is very strong in Bulgaria.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I mentioned at the beginning, without the help, the big, really help of all our Bulgarian members of the board, we will be not able to make this meeting today. And if you have the program in your hand, yesterday, some hours before the Nadun, the program was in the graphic in Vienna. After 2 hours, the program, Mr. Donev, our Vice President, I have to say special thanks to you. According to the Sopharma, 2 hours after Vienna graphic, the program was so printed and here in this hall. Thank you very much. Mr. Donev, please come to us also. Please. Давай, направо повече.
Alles Gute.
Нека се обърнете, да направим снимка. Thank you very much. We have another member of the board and vice president of the Vienna Economic Forum, and this is Mr. Messinger, Heinz Messinger. Heinz, you will receive also Bulgarian.
The Bulgarian lion.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Никой kann es nicht aufmachen, das ist immer ein Problem.
Ich kann es aufmachen.
Nein, ganz auch nicht. Okay, thank you very much. Bitte schön. Heinz Messinger is for the very beginning supporter and member of the Vienna Economic Forum. He's very young, but he's 20 years he's supported the Vienna Economic Forum.
With great pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dear Mila, may I ask you to come to me? Investment Agency of Bulgaria and our new elected member of the board of the Vienna Economic Forum. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for everything, for this
You're really
day
welcome.
and my help.
And it's a real honor to be, on the board for not 1 month, but...
It's honor at work.
Честито. Чакай да го обърнем на Виена, а не на Alliance, Bulgarian Lion.
I'm asking Danica, I'm asking you also, you are very happy, very pleased with our long-standing partnership with Bled School.
Thank you very much. I'm really surprised.
Yeah, it must be surprising, Sofia.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bulgarian Lion.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Barbara Cohn, my dear Barbara. Barbara Cohn, my dear Barbara.
much. It's a pleasure and honor. Thank you.
This is award. Pleasure. And now is the time to have some surprise to Mr. Penkov. Because you are the author of the Alliance, and we have something special for you on behalf of the Vienna Economic Forum.
Thank you very much. I feel very honored, and I would support as well to follow the path which was mentioned by him, to be a good bridge between policy and economy, but the policy to have idea. So Schengen is an idea which has to follow all the other realities in Bulgaria. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You are the best bridge in the whole region with your law firm. And last but not least, our moderator. Boyko?
The lion will roar. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now I would like to invite the ladies from the both university. Thank you very much. Thank you. You're together. Thank you very much.
And for Professor Boneva and Professor Bojankova, thank you very much for every one of you for this magnificent meeting. Thank you.